You know that feeling when you receive a message so small and so casual that it reaches inside your chest and breaks something you did not even know was still intact. That is what happened to me at 9:30 on a Thursday night. I was sitting at the kitchen table alone, staring at a bowl of instant soup. I did not feel like eating. My hands still smelled like bleach from the afternoon I had spent cleaning every corner of the house, ironing my son Daniel's shirts, folding my grandchildren's clothes. I had been waiting all day for someone to say there was a place for me at the restaurant table where they were celebrating. Then my phone vibrated. It was a text from my daughter-in-law, Emily. Mother-in-law, remember to heat up the leftovers in the fridge. Do not waste them. I read those words once, twice, 3 times. I felt something inside my chest quietly shatter, the way a porcelain cup falls, but makes no sound until it is already broken on the floor. It was not just the text. It was the tone, the contempt wrapped in polite language. It was knowing that while I sat alone eating instant soup in a house I helped pay for, they were toasting with glasses of expensive wine at a restaurant where the cheapest dish costs $85. I opened Instagram. I should not have, but I did. There were the pictures, my son in his white shirt, the one I had ironed that morning, Emily in a red dress smiling like she owned the world, my grandchildren eating shrimp and making faces for the camera, Emily's mother, her sister, her brother-in-law, everyone but me. The caption reads, celebrating my queen's promotion. Regional manager at 34. Here is to women who never stop. 237 likes in 20 minutes. I closed the app. I left the phone on the table. I looked at my soup getting cold. And then something strange happened. I did not cry. I did not scream. I did not break anything. An icy calm washed over me, the kind of calm that means your body has already understood what your mind is still processing. Because what they did not know, what none of them laughing and toasting with expensive wine could imagine, was that I had been preparing for this moment for 6 months. Tonight, I was not going to heat up their leftovers. Tonight, I was going to disappear. And when they came home drunk on wine and arrogance, what they found behind that door would make them tremble. 3 years and 4 months before that night, I buried my husband David, pancreatic cancer. It took him in 6 months. So fast, I barely had time to say goodbye. I was left alone in our suburban house with its mosaic patio where we had raised Daniel, where we celebrated every birthday and every Christmas. But after the funeral, the silence became unbearable. Every corner screamed his absence. Daniel came to visit me 2 weeks later. He had Emily on his arm, and that smile I had known since he was a boy. The smile he used when he wanted to ask me for something. Mom, he said, while having coffee in the kitchen, Emily and I are looking for a house. We want something bigger for the kids, but the prices are impossible. Emily nodded, stroking her mug with her perfectly painted coral nails. The down payment for the house we want is $68,000. We have been saving for a year, but we only have half. They did not need to say more. How much do you need? I asked. Daniel looked down. If you sold this house, Mom, you could come live with us. You would not be alone. The kids adore you. It is a win for everyone. Emily smiled. It would be perfect. You help us with the kids. We take care of you like a real family. That word, family. I signed the sale papers 3 weeks later. The suburban house, with its high ceilings and 42 years of memories, sold for $120,000. I gave Daniel $68,000 for the down payment. I put the rest in savings, thinking it was my safety net. What I did not do, and this is what weighs on me the most to this day, was put my name on the deed of the new house. Daniel told me it was not necessary, that the house was for everyone. Why complicate the paperwork? And I trusted him. That was my first mistake, my most expensive mistake, because it turns out I had actually paid for everything. And I had the paperwork to prove it. The first few months were tolerable. I would get up at 5 in the morning. Make coffee the way Daniel liked it, strong with a hint of cinnamon. Make breakfast. Wake up my grandchildren, Michael, who was 9, and Sarah, who was 6. Comb their hair, pack their lunches, walk them to the school bus. Emily would dash out at 7:30. Always impeccable in her business suit and her $240 French perfume. She would not even look at me on her way out. Daniel would leave half an hour later. Sometimes he kissed my forehead. Sometimes he just said thanks, Mom, without looking at me. And I would stay behind clearing plates, doing laundry, mopping floors that never seemed clean enough for Emily. Because every afternoon when she returned she would inspect. She would run her finger over the shelves looking for dust. She would open the fridge and frown if something was not in its exact place. She would check the bathrooms like a health inspector. Mother-in-law, the mirrors have spots. Mother-in-law, Michael's shirt is not ironed well. Mother-in-law, why did you use so much detergent? It is more expensive. Never Beatrice, never Mrs. Betty as my friends called me. Just mother-in-law. As if it were a job title, not a name. The kids loved me, that was real. Michael would hug me when he got home from school. Sarah would fall asleep on my lap while I read her stories. But whenever Emily saw us together, her face would harden. One day Sarah said, "Grandma, I love you more than Mommy," right in front of Emily. That night, I heard shouting from their bedroom. "Your mother is spoiling my children, Daniel. She gives them everything they ask for. She is my mom, Emily. Leave her alone, your mom or the maid who does not pay rent." Silence. I waited for Daniel to defend me, to say something, anything, but he did not, and that is when I knew I had crossed an invisible line. I was no longer the helpful mother-in-law. I was the burden they endured. The humiliations became more subtle but more constant over the months that followed. Emily would organize family dinners and forget to tell me until the last minute. Her friends would come over, and she would introduce me as Daniel's mom, who helps us with the house. Never as part of the family. At Christmas, when they took the family photograph in front of the tree, Emily asked me to take the picture. "You have a steadier hand, mother-in-law," she said. I stood behind the camera while they smiled like a Christmas card. That photo ended up framed in the living room. I do not appear anywhere in this house. It is like I am a ghost. And the worst part is I started to feel that way, invisible, disposable, as if my only value was keeping the house running while they lived their perfect lives. But all that accumulated humiliation over 3 years, was nothing compared to what happened on the night of Emily's promotion. It started that Thursday morning when she came downstairs practically floating. "I got it," she said, hugging Daniel. The regional operations manager position, the youngest in the company's history. They hugged and celebrated and talked about going to the Skyline Grill. The whole family, Daniel said. My heart skipped. The whole family that included me, right? I put pancakes on the table and wiped my hands on my apron. "What time should I make the reservation?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Emily looked at me as if she had just realized I was still there. Reservation for what? The table for the family dinner. There was an awkward silence. Daniel cleared his throat. Emily exchanged one of those looks with him that speak without words. "Oh no, mother-in-law," Emily said with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "It is an intimate dinner, just us, the kids, my mom who is coming from upstate, direct family." Those words stabbed my chest like shards of glass. "I understand," I said, and went back to the stove, even though there was nothing left to flip. Besides, Emily continued, spreading butter on her toast. "Someone has to stay with the house. We cannot just leave it empty, and you cook so well. I am sure you will make yourself something delicious." Daniel said nothing. My son, the boy I raised, the man whose education I funded, just stared silently at his plate of eggs. They all left at 11 in the morning. Emily changed her outfit 3 times. The kids were excited in their Sunday best. Daniel gave me a quick kiss on the forehead, so automatic. He did not even look me in the eye. "Do not wait up for us, Mom. We are going to be late," and they left. The house fell silent, a silence so heavy I could barely breathe. I made myself some instant soup, the kind they sell in packs of 3 for $2. I sat at the kitchen table. Not in the dining room. The help does not eat in the dining room, and that is what I was now, right. The help who paid $68,000 for the privilege of working for free. At 7 in the evening, I opened Instagram. There they were, Emily radiant in her red dress, the kids with huge plates of shrimp, the whole table. 9 people celebrating, laughing, toasting, and me eating instant soup in a kitchen I helped pay for. Then my phone vibrated. Emily's text, mother-in-law, "Remember to heat up the leftovers in the fridge. Do not waste them." I read those words and something inside me died, but at the same time something else woke up. I opened the fridge. There they were, a half-eaten rotisserie chicken, rice from Monday, vegetables I had cooked. Leftovers, that is what I deserved according to them, their leftovers, their contempt wrapped in polite words. I closed the fridge, I took a deep breath, and I typed my reply. Okay, 2 letters, nothing more, but in those 2 letters was a decision that had been taking shape in my head for months. I went upstairs. I opened the closet, and I took out the suitcase. But before I packed a single thing, I walked to the back of the closet and moved the shoe boxes I never use. Behind them, wrapped in a plastic bag, was my old sewing box, the one my mother gave me when I got married. I opened it and took out what I had hidden there for months, a hardcover spiral-bound notebook. Everything was in that notebook. Every dollar I had invested in this house since the day we moved in, every receipt, every proof of payment. 3 years of my life documented in the careful handwriting of a woman who sensed she might need it one day. August 2022, down payment on the house, $68,000. September 2022. New refrigerator, $1,890. Washer and dryer, $2,450. October 2022. Living room set because Emily said the one they brought from their apartment was too old, $3,200. November 2022. Repair of the burst pipe, $870. The list went on and on. A 55-inch television for the living room, $2,200. New mattresses, $3,800. The master bathroom remodel that Emily desperately wanted, $6,500. And then there were the monthly expenses, because Daniel only paid $480 a month. The actual mortgage was $1,400. Who paid the other $920? I did. Every month without fail for 3 years. From my widow's pension of $1,600 a month, I contributed $920 to maintain the house where I lived like a servant. I did a quick calculation on the last page. Down payment and initial furniture, $84,730. Monthly mortgage contributions, 36 months times 920, $33,120. Repairs and improvements, $18,950. Total invested, $136,800. $136,800. Almost everything David and I had built together over 42 years of marriage. Invested in a house where they treated me worse than a stranger, but the most important thing, the thing that gave me real power, was hidden at the bottom of the sewing box. I reached in and pulled out a yellowish manila envelope. Inside were the original deeds to the house. I opened them with trembling hands. There it was, in the notary's handwriting. Clear as day, property located at 847 Jurist Circuit. Owner Beatrice Mendoza, widow of Torres. My name, only my name. When we bought the house, the notary explained that since I put down the full down payment, it was safest to put everything in my name first. You can do the transfer whenever you want later, he said. But this way you are protected if anything happens. Daniel agreed. It is better this way, Mom. Safer for you. And then we never did the transfer. He asked about it occasionally in the first few months. We need to go to the notary, Mom, to change the deeds, but there was always something more urgent, always something to put off. Until he stopped asking, and I consciously or unconsciously never reminded him. Some part of me, the part that survived 42 years of marriage, the part that raised a son alone while David worked 12 hours a day, that part knew I needed protection. That part saved me. I put the deeds back in the envelope. Then I took out my phone and dialed a number I had saved for months. Hello, a young professional voice answered. Megan, it's your Aunt Beatrice. Aunt B, what a surprise. How are you? Megan was my niece, a lawyer specializing in family law, 38 years old, fierce in court after her own recent divorce. I need your help, I said. It is urgent. Can you come early tomorrow? There was a pause. Aunt B, are you okay? Your voice sounds strange. I am perfect. For the first time in 3 years I am perfect, but I need your help with a legal matter about my house. Your house? I thought you were living with Daniel and Emily. Exactly. That is why I am calling. I heard Megan grab a pen. Tell me everything. I explained the situation in 15 minutes. The down payment, the deeds, the payments, the humiliation, the text about the leftovers. When I finished, Megan let out a low whistle. Aunt B, are you telling me that house is completely in your name and they do not know it? That is right, and you have proof of everything you invested, every receipt, every transfer, everything. Oh my God, she was already typing. Aunt B, this is legal gold. You have a rock-solid case. What can I do? Whatever you want. You can evict them. You can charge them back rent. You can sell the house. Legally, they are your tenants without a lease. They have no rights to the property. I felt a smile spread across my face, not a happy smile, a smile of justice. I will be at your office tomorrow at 8 in the morning. I will be waiting, Aunt B. Bring all the papers. I hung up and called 2 more people. Mr. Hector, the notary who had handled David's will and the deeds, and my friend Linda. Beatrice. Linda answered. What are you doing up at this hour? Linda, is the room you were going to rent still available? The one upstairs. Yes. Why can I move in tomorrow? Silence. What happened, my friend? And then for the first time all night my voice broke. I cannot do it anymore, Linda. I cannot keep being invisible in my own house. You come tomorrow, she said firmly. Whenever you want. I will be waiting. I hung up the phone, and then yes, I allowed myself to cry. But I did not cry from sadness. I cried from relief, because after 3 years of humiliation, I was finally going to get my dignity back. And they, all of them toasting with expensive wine while I ate leftovers, were about to learn the hardest lesson of their lives. It was 10:15 at night. According to their Instagram stories, they were on dessert. A chocolate raspberry tower that cost $34 a slice. I had 3 hours, maybe 4, if they kept toasting. I went back to my room and started packing, but not all my clothes. Just the essentials, what was truly mine, the woven blanket my mother gave me, the silver rosary David bought me in Mexico, my wedding photos, my books, my Italian coffee maker I brought from my old house. Every object I put in the suitcase was a piece of my recovered identity. But there was something more important to pack. I opened my dresser drawer and took out a small digital recorder I had bought downtown 6 months ago. It cost $45 at an electronics store, the best investment I had made in years, because it turns out that when you become invisible, people talk in front of you as if you do not exist. I connected the recorder to my old laptop, and started copying the files to a USB drive. File 1. October 15th, 2024. Emily's voice on the phone with her sister. No, seriously. It is like having a free maid. She gets up early, cooks, cleans, takes care of the kids. And the best part is I do not have to pay her or give her days off because she is family. Daniel feels guilty sometimes, but I tell him she is better off here than alone in a nursing home. File 2. November 23rd, 2024. A conversation between Emily and Daniel in their bedroom. I was cleaning the bathroom nearby. Your mom is getting really annoying, Daniel. She wants to have an opinion on everything. She is my mom, Emily. She just wants to help. Helping is getting in the way. She used to say when she dies, your dad left a good pension. She served her purpose. Maybe it is time for her to find her own space, a small apartment or a nice retirement home. I cannot just kick her out. She is my mother. You do not have to kick her out. Just suggest she would be happier somewhere else. For her own good. Silence from my son, and then, I will think about it. I will think about it. My son was going to think about it. File 3. January 8th, 2025. Emily with her friends in the living room, drinking wine, while I prepared snacks in the kitchen. You guys have no idea how lucky I am. My mother-in-law does everything in the house so I can focus on my career. That is why I got the promotion, because I do not have to worry about anything domestic, and she does not charge you. Charge me, she lives here for free. Of course she does not charge. Besides, she sold her house and gave Daniel the money. It is like her way of paying to live with us. More laughter. Take advantage of it while she can still work. When she gets too old, you will figure something out. There were 17 files in total, 17 recordings of conversations where they treated me like a commodity, like a useful object that would eventually be discarded. I copied everything to the USB drive, saved another copy to my email just in case. Then I opened my dresser drawer and took out my old phone, the one I used before Daniel gave me a new one. On that phone I had photographs, pictures of the receipts Emily threw in the trash, screenshots of her social media posts where she bragged about the house, the furniture, the renovations, always with the hashtag #myhouse, my achievements, never our house. Never thanks to the family. I copied all the photos to the same USB drive. It was 11:15. Instagram showed they were still at the restaurant, having coffee and cognac. I still had time. I went downstairs silently. I walked through the living room. I stopped in front of each piece of furniture I had bought. The 3-seater sofa, the glass coffee table, the wooden bookshelf, but I was not going to take any of it. I was not going to empty the house like a thief in the night. I was only going to take what was indisputably mine, my clothes, my memories, my dignity, and the deeds. I went back upstairs and sat on the edge of the bed with a sheet of paper and a pen. I wrote in clear handwriting. Daniel, for 3 years I lived in this house as an invisible maid. I cooked, cleaned, cared for your children, paid bills, and swallowed humiliations in silence. Tonight, while you celebrated Emily's promotion and sent me a text to heat up leftovers, I made a decision. I will no longer be the ghost of this family. You will find documents on your nightstand. Read them carefully. We will see each other soon with lawyers present. I have loved you my whole life. But love does not mean letting you walk over me. Mom. I folded the letter and placed it on his pillow. Then I placed the manila envelope with the deeds on his nightstand, clearly visible, with a yellow sticky note attached. This house is in my name. It always was, and I have proof of every dollar I invested in it. $136,800 to be exact. See you at the notary's office. I carried my suitcase downstairs carefully. I paused at the front door. I took one last look at this house I helped build, at the floors I mopped 1,000 times, at the walls I painted when we moved in, at the kitchen where I prepared thousands of meals that no one appreciated. I did not feel sadness. I felt freedom. I locked the door, and for the first time in 3 years, I did not leave the key in the lock on the inside. I took it with me. After all, it was my house. I called a car from the corner. The driver, a man in his 50s, helped me with the suitcase. "Long trip?" he asked as we pulled away. "No," I replied. "It is a journey back to myself." I was not there when they arrived, but my grandson Michael told me everything 3 days later when he came looking for me at Linda's house crying. It was 1:23 in the morning when Daniel's car entered the gated community. They were laughing loudly with the music all the way up. Emily was leaning on Daniel's shoulder. She had drunk 3 glasses of red wine, 2 of champagne, and a final shot of tequila. They used to make a last toast. Daniel was not sober either. They parked the car. Emily almost tripped getting out and laughed at her heels. Daniel caught her by the waist. They played around. They kissed in the cold night air. "Regional manager," he whispered. "My wife, the manager." They walked up the porch steps. Daniel fumbled for the keys. Emily said between laughs. "Do not wake up your mom. Let her sleep," Daniel replied. "She deserves it after taking care of the house all night." They opened the door. Everything was dark, just the hallway light on, as I always left it so they would not trip. "Mom," Daniel called as he entered. His voice was slurred. Silence. Emily turned on the living room light. And then they saw it. The Persian rug I had brought from my old house was gone. The one my mother bought on a trip down south 50 years ago. The embroidered cushions on the sofa were gone, the ones I had embroidered myself over months. The pictures on the walls were gone. My pictures, landscapes David gave me on our anniversaries. "What?" Emily frowned. "Did your mom move things around?" Daniel walked to the kitchen. He turned on the light. The Italian coffee maker was gone. The ceramic mugs I collected were gone. The apron that always hung on the hook next to the fridge had disappeared. "Mom," he called out louder. "Where are you?" They went upstairs. My door was ajar. Daniel pushed it open. He turned on the light. The bed was made, perfectly made as I always left it, but empty. The closet was open, empty of my clothes. Only the hangers remained, the nightstand, and without my books, my glasses, my rosary, as if I had never existed in that room. "What the hell?" Emily muttered behind him. Daniel ran to the bathroom. My toothbrush was gone, my face cream, my comb, my cheap rose-scented perfume, all gone. He went back to the bedroom and saw it, on his pillow. A folded letter. He grabbed it with trembling hands. He unfolded it. Emily read over his shoulder. Michael told me his father's face changed as he read. From confusion to disbelief, from disbelief to horror. Then Daniel saw the manila envelope on his nightstand. He opened it, took out the deeds, read the name written there in official notary script. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no. What is it?" Emily snatched the papers. Her eyes scanned the document once, twice, then she turned pale. "This cannot be real. The house is in her name," Daniel said in a hollow voice. "The whole house. It was always in her name." "But you paid the down payment. You told me." "She paid the down payment." Daniel sat down heavily on the bed. "She sold her house, $68,000. I did not have anything. It all came from her." Emily took the yellow sticky note. $136,800 to be exact. She swayed. "You are telling me your mom invested over $100,000 in this house. And we never did the transfer. Oh my God, Daniel. We never transferred the property." The silence that followed was deafening. Michael told me he woke up to the shouting. He came downstairs rubbing his eyes and found his parents in the living room arguing. While his mom was shouting, his dad had his head in his hands. "This cannot be happening." Emily paced back and forth. We have lived here for 3 years. 3 years. This is my house. It is her house, Daniel said in a dead voice. Legally, it was always her house. Daniel looked up. His eyes were red, like the obligation we had to treat her with respect, to not exclude her from dinner tonight. Emily was speechless. We left her alone. Daniel continued, his voice cracking. In her own house. We left her eating leftovers while we spent $300 on wine. Daniel, you sent her that text. That damn text about heating up the leftovers from the fridge. Emily's mouth fell open. She closed it. She turned even paler. It was not with bad intentions. It was just, for the first time in 3 years, my son defended my honor. But it was too late. Michael was crying on the stairs, listening to everything. Sarah woke up and started calling for me. Where is Grandma? I want my grandma. Daniel dialed my number once, twice, 5 times, 10 times. I had silenced his contact. None of them got a reply, because at that moment I was at Linda's house drinking chamomile tea with honey, wrapped in a clean blanket that smelled of fabric softener, sleeping the deepest and most peaceful sleep I had experienced in 3 years. I woke up at 7 in the morning at Linda's house. Natural light streamed through the window. Birds were singing outside. The smell of fresh coffee came up from the kitchen. It had been 3 years since I had woken up without a knot in my stomach. I stretched in bed. No one was waiting for me downstairs to demand breakfast. No one would inspect the bathroom. No one would give me orders disguised as suggestions. I was free. My phone had 32 notifications, 23 missed calls from Daniel, 15 WhatsApp messages, 4 from Emily. I did not open any of them. Instead, I opened Facebook. I typed with trembling fingers. After 3 years of caring for a family that made me invisible, I learned that self-love is not selfishness. It is survival. I hit post and closed the app. At 8 sharp, I was at Megan's office. My niece greeted me with a strong hug and a cup of coffee. Aunt B, you are a legend. She spread everything out on her desk like a detective building a case. Deeds in your name. Proof of payment, bank transfers, even recordings. She plugged the USB into her computer and listened to a few snippets. Her expression changed from professional to indignant. When the old woman gets sick or starts with dementia, we will send her to a cheap nursing home and keep the whole house. Megan clenched her fists. Aunt B, with this, we can do whatever you want. Immediate eviction, collection of back rent, compensation for moral damages. Tell me what you need and we will do it. I said slowly, for them to understand what they lost, for them to feel what I felt, and for them to learn that love is not free when you confuse it with servitude. Megan nodded. Then we are going to give them a lesson they will not forget. At 11:47 that morning, Megan sent the first official legal summons. Mrs. Beatrice Mendoza, legal owner of the property located at 847 Jurist Circuit, requires the presence of Mr. Daniel Torres and Mrs. Emily Ruiz at the offices of Notary Hector on Monday at 10 in the morning to resolve matters of property and occupancy. Attendance is mandatory. The email was sent. My phone would not stop vibrating. Finally, at noon, I checked Daniel's messages. Mom, please, we need to talk. This is a misunderstanding. I did not know the house was in your name. The kids are asking for you. Michael is crying. Sarah does not understand what happened. Mom, you are my mom. We cannot end like this. From Emily, mother-in-law, I think this is getting out of proportion. If you were bothered by last night's message, I apologize. It was a misunderstanding. Can we talk like civilized adults? I noticed the change in tone, from bossy mother-in-law to pleading mother-in-law. But I did not reply. My Facebook post had 243 reactions and 189 comments. Women sharing their own stories. Women living with their children being treated as unpaid caregivers. Women who had lost their homes, their savings, their dignity. One wrote, "Beatrice, thank you for speaking up. You gave me the courage to leave my daughter's house. I am looking for an apartment tomorrow." Another said, "I have been taking care of my grandchildren for free for 5 years, while my daughter-in-law goes out to have fun. After reading your story, I will tell her she cannot keep taking advantage of me. My story, my pain. My broken silence was giving other women the strength to find their voice, and that more than any house or deed or money filled my heart." On Monday, at 9:30 in the morning, I arrived at Notary Selenus's office. Megan accompanied me, her leather briefcase full of documents. She looked like a movie lawyer. At 9:52, we heard footsteps on the stairs. Daniel came in first. He was wearing a gray suit and a dark tie, as if going to a funeral. His eyes were sunken and red from lack of sleep. And behind him came Emily, but not the confident, arrogant Emily I was used to. This Emily was wearing a conservative navy blue dress, low heels, little makeup, hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked like a scolded child. She saw me and immediately looked away. "Interesting. All right." Megan began spreading documents on the table. "We are here to resolve a situation of property and occupancy. Mrs. Beatrice is the legal owner of the property. Do you know that my client has invested $136,800 in that property?" "Yes, and that you have technically been living without a lease for 3 years." Emily clenched her fists in her lap. "Yes, and that my client has the legal right to request immediate eviction, collect back rent, and sue for moral damages." At that, Emily looked up. Her eyes glistened. "Yes, we know. We know everything." The silence that followed was thick. Daniel cleared his throat. "Mom, I listened to the recordings, all of them." His voice cracked. "All 17. It took me 4 hours, and each one destroyed me a little more." Emily closed her eyes. "I had no idea." Daniel continued looking directly at me. "I had no idea about the things Emily was saying about you behind your back. There is a recording from October where she tells her sister that as soon as the old woman gets sick or starts with dementia, we will send her to a cheap nursing home and keep the whole house." Emily's face crumpled. Megan, smelling blood in the water, took out her laptop. "Would you like to listen to the recordings here in the presence of the notary?" "I have certified copies." "No," Emily said quickly. "That is not necessary." "Oh, I think it is," Megan said with a calm, professional smile. "Because my client not only has recordings, she also has witness statements from neighbors, photographs of humiliating messages, and a detailed record of psychological abuse and financial exploitation." Emily turned completely pale. "Financial exploitation of senior citizens is a crime. We could take this to criminal court." "No," Emily stood up abruptly. "Please, that is not necessary. I will do whatever it takes." She sat back down, trembling. Mr. Hector, who had observed everything in silence, spoke in a grave voice. "Mrs. Emily, I have known Mrs. Beatrice for 30 years. She is a woman of honor, and you, forgive my frankness, treated her like dirt." Emily buried her face in her hands. "I know," she said. "I know, and I am sorry. I am so sorry." "You are sorry?" I finally asked. My voice came out colder than I expected. "Are you sorry you humiliated me, or are you sorry you got caught?" She looked up, mascara running down her cheeks. "I am sorry for both." She took a shaky breath. "I am sorry I was cruel. I am sorry I treated you like a servant. And I am sorry I was exposed like this because it forced me to see the monster I became." That surprised me. I expected excuses, not self-criticism. "I grew up poor, Mrs. Beatrice, very poor. My mother worked as a maid her whole life, and when I managed to get out of that poverty, when I got my career and my position, I think I became exactly what I hated most. The employers who treated my mother badly." Her voice broke completely. "And the worst part is I did it to you. To the woman who helped us get a house, who took care of my children, who gave me a home. I was the worst version of myself with you. Megan looked at me waiting for my signal. She wanted to destroy Emily legally. She had all the elements to do it. But something in Emily's confession in her broken voice made me pause. "Does your mother know how you treated me?" I asked. Emily shook her head. If she found out, she would disown me. She adores grandmothers. She always told me, treat your mother-in-law how you would want your own mother to be treated. Wise advice, I said coldly. Too bad you did not listen. Mr. Hector drummed his fingers on his desk. Mrs. Beatrice has 3 legal options. Megan spread documents on the table. Option 1, immediate eviction. You have 30 days to vacate the property. Mrs. Beatrice gets her house back. Option 2, full purchase. You pay Mrs. Beatrice $136,800 within 90 days. The deed is transferred. Option 3, Megan looked at me. This was my idea. Property division and cohabitation agreement. What does that mean? Daniel asked. I took a deep breath. It means we legally divide the house. I get 60%. You get 40%, registered with the notary with all legal force. But Emily frowned. 640. That means the house is still more in your name than ours. But you will have something. You will not be on the street. And where would you live? Daniel asked. I am not going back to that house, I said firmly. I am staying where I am. But my 60% comes with conditions. Megan unfolded another document. Mrs. Beatrice will rent her percentage of the house to a family she personally selects. Tenants who will live in the house with you. You will share common spaces. They will pay a monthly rent of $850 that goes directly to Mrs. Beatrice. Emily's eyes widened. You want us to live with strangers. I want you to learn how it feels to share your space with someone you did not choose, I replied. I want you to understand the discomfort, the lack of privacy, having to be kind to people who are in your house. Daniel understood immediately, like how you felt with us, exactly, and the other condition, family therapy. Daniel, you and I will go to therapy once a week for 6 months. I will pay for the first 10 sessions. You pay for the rest without Emily, just the 2 of us. My son had tears in his eyes. You would do that. After everything, you would still want to fix our relationship. You are my son, I said, my voice trembling. You made terrible mistakes. You failed me. But you are my son, and I am not going to give up on you without trying. Daniel stood up, walked around the table, and knelt in front of me. Forgive me, Mom. Please forgive me. I held him and cried with him. Emily watched from her chair, destroyed. And me, she asked in a small voice. Is there anything I can do to earn your forgiveness? I looked at her directly. You can start by treating the tenants I am going to put in your house well. You can start by valuing what you have, and you can start by teaching my grandchildren that respect is not optional in a family. She nodded. I will. I promise you. Mr. Hector prepared the documents. Property division 60/40. Lease agreement for my portion. Protection clauses. Everything legal. Everything sealed. When we left that office 2 hours later, I was free. And they had a lesson that would last for years. Because sometimes justice is not about destruction. Sometimes it is about making you live with the consequences of your actions every single day. 2 weeks after the meeting at the notary's office, I was sitting in a cafe in Coyoacán with Teresa Campos, a 52-year-old widowed elementary school teacher. She had 2 children, Miguel, who was 14, and Andrea, who was 11. She had been looking for a place for 3 years after her husband died in a car accident, and she had to sell their condo to pay medical debts. Mrs. Beatrice, Teresa said with hopeful eyes, "Are you sure you want to rent us part of your house? With 2 teenagers, we make a lot of noise." "I am completely sure," I replied, "and please call me Beatrice." I explained the situation, everything. I did not lie or omit details. Teresa needed to know what she was getting into. When I finished, she was silent for a long moment. So she said finally, "You want my family and me to be your living lesson for your son and daughter-in-law. I want you to have a decent home," I corrected. "And yes, for my relatives to learn some empathy along the way." Teresa smiled. "Sounds fair. When can we move in?" A week later, Teresa and her children arrived. Emily opened the door. When she saw me, her face went through 10 different emotions, but she forced a smile. "Mother-in-law, come in." "Beatrice," I corrected. "Call me Beatrice." She repeated it, swallowing hard. The cohabitation created revealing situations. Teresa told me everything in our weekly calls. Yesterday, Emily got upset because Miguel used too much hot water in his shower. Teresa told me, laughing. I politely reminded her that we pay our rent on time and are entitled to hot water. She turned red but did not say anything else. There were also beautiful moments. Andrea was having trouble with math. Emily, who was an engineer by training, helped her with her homework without anyone asking. "Thank you, Mrs. Emily," Andrea had said with a smile, and Emily, Teresa told me, started crying afterward because for the first time in months someone had sincerely thanked her for something. The children were the easy part of this whole equation. Sarah had a new best friend. Michael had an older brother figure who taught him bike tricks. And both in their childhood innocence were rebuilding bridges that the adults had burned. One Sunday a month after the move, Daniel invited me over for lunch. "Teresa is making mole," he said. "She says it is your favorite." I went. I entered that house with my heart pounding. I had not been there since the night I left. Everything looked the same but different. There were Andrea's drawings on the fridge, Miguel's bike on the porch, voices, laughter, life, Grandma. Sarah ran to hug me. You came. Michael hugged me too. Taller than I remembered. "I missed you, Grandma." Teresa greeted me with a hug. "Come in, Beatrice. Your house." "Your table." Emily was in the kitchen. She saw me and nervously wiped her hands on her apron. "Beatrice," she said, "thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me." We looked at each other. 2 women who had been at war. 2 women who were not yet friends, but who were learning to coexist. The mole smells delicious. Teresa taught me her recipe, Emily admitted. It is better than mine. It was the first time I had ever heard her admit that someone did something better than her. Sarah showed me a drawing she had made of her new big family. We were all in it, Teresa and her kids, Daniel and Emily and their kids, and me in the center with a crown drawn on my head. "You are the queen," Grandma Sarah explained. "Because you made us all be together." I broke down. I cried in front of everyone. Daniel took my hand. "Thank you, Mom," he said, "for not giving up on us." 6 months later, Emily asked to meet me alone. We sat at a neutral Starbucks. "I want to offer you something," she said, taking papers out of her bag. "I have been saving and I spoke with the bank. I can get a loan." She slid the papers toward me. "I want to buy your 60% of the house over 5 years with monthly payments of $2,300. It is all calculated here with fair interest." I was silent, reading. Why, I asked. "Because it is the right thing to do," she said simply. "It is your house, your investment, your sacrifice, and we have been living off your generosity for too long." "I thought you wanted to keep the house for free," I said with a slight smile. "The Emily from a year ago," she admitted. "Today's Emily wants to earn things, wants to pay what she owes, wants to sleep without guilt." I looked at the numbers. It was a fair offer, very fair, and Teresa and her kids. We offered to let them stay as official tenants if you agree to sell with a real contract. Fair rent they accepted. The kids are inseparable, and Teresa has become my friend, my external conscience. I smiled. "Okay," I said. "I accept." Emily exhaled, relieved. "Thank you for giving me this chance, for not destroying us when you could have." "I gain nothing by destroying you, Emily. I gain by seeing my family heal." Today, a year and 3 months after that night, I left with my suitcase. I am sitting in my small rented apartment in downtown Koyokan. I am 69 years old. I teach knitting classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the community center. I go to therapy once a month for myself. I walk with Linda every morning. Daniel comes to visit every Sunday. Sometimes he brings the kids. Sometimes he comes alone, and we cook together like when he was a boy. Emily sends me texts every now and then. Pictures of the kids, recipes, small gestures that show she is trying. Teresa and I are close friends. Her kids call me Aunt Betty. And the $850 in rent I receive each month, plus the $2,300 from Emily's payment plan, allow me to live with dignity. With independence, with peace, did I get my family back? Not completely. Some wounds left permanent scars. But I got something more important back. I got myself back. I got my name back, my voice, my right to be treated with respect. Last week, Sarah gave me a new drawing. It was me standing in front of a house with a suitcase in my hand and a smile on my face. Underneath, she wrote in uneven letters, "My grandma Beatrice, the bravest woman I know, because she knew when to leave and when she was ready to come back." I have it framed in my living room because that 7-year-old girl understood what many adults never do. Staying where you are hurt is not love. It is habit. And breaking that habit, even if it hurts, even if it is scary, even if it makes you feel selfish, is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. Today, I sleep peacefully in my own bed, in my own space, in my own life. And when I look in the mirror, I finally see what I was searching for 3 years. A visible woman, a valuable woman, a free woman. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your city in the comments and tell me which moment in this story made you stop breathing. Was it when I read that text about the leftovers? Was it when Daniel opened the envelope and read the deeds? Or was it when little Sarah drew me with a crown on my head? I read every single comment, and I want to celebrate this story with you. If this story gave you something today, please hit the like button right now. It helps more people find stories like this one. Subscribe to Jennifer's Story for new episodes every week. And the next story, already on your screen right now, is about a grandmother who discovered her son had been hiding something in her name for 7 years. What was inside the documents she found will leave you completely unable to breathe. Stay right there. You need to hear it.